Welcome back to the Buds in the Box YouTube channel. Before we get started, make sure you guys go check out the jersey giveaway details in the description below. Today's topic of conversation is it's not really a question, it's more of just like a discussion about Tom Wilson and his fight with the New York Rangers and everything that's unfolded after that. So if you guys don't know, Tom Wilson got into a fight with basically the entire Rangers team. Punched who was it? Buchnevich?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you break it down, he had Buchnevich in like a headlock on the ice, punched him in the back of the head a bunch of times. And then Panarin came to get him off, his teammate. Came to get Tom Wilson off his teammate, and then what happened, Eric?
And then he Panarin's helmet came off, body slammed, Tom Wilson body slammed Panarin. His head went
With
straight into the ice. Panarin is injured, out for the rest of the season, and Tom Wilson
continued to punch him on the ice while his head, he didn't have a helmet on, and continued to like slam him into the ice.
Yeah,
without his helmet on.
Tom Wilson only got a $5,000 fine for that.
So just to put it into perspective, we're comparing McDavid's elbow to a WWE wrestler. Yeah. So
yeah. And it's crazy to think Tom Wilson is a repeat offender. I'll give you guys a rundown of the statement that was given by the New York Rangers after what happened.
We'll pop it up on the screen too, so you can pause the video and read it.
Pop it up here or wherever, and you guys can pause it and read it. But basically, they said, the guy, I forget his name here. Let me pull it up on my phone. George Peros, is not fit for his role, and I think everyone knows that. They're disappointed and they're shocked that he only got a fine, which is, crazy. Again, this guy's obviously a repeat offender. 2 months ago, he just got suspended for 7 games doing whatever the fuck he was doing. I don't even know. So, and then he does something that's like almost 10 times worse, intent to injure, and they only give him a $5,000 fine.
Yeah, at this point, it's not even like it's not even about being a repeat offender. That makes it much worse.
Yeah,
that makes it much worse that he's a repeat offender. But even if he wasn't, even if it was a rookie or someone who literally never has a clean record, like if someone who had the cleanest record in the NHL did that, you have to expect minimum 5 games.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Yeah.
That's not even, I would say it should be much more than that, but a minimum of 5 games. Yeah. For what he did, that's assault. If he did that on the street, he'd get arrested.
Yeah.
And put in jail for who knows how long. Like, just because he did it on the ice, it doesn't make it any better. But that's literally an offense. Like, that's a criminal offense what he did, and he did it on the ice. So to give him a $5,000 fine, that's saying nothing. That's saying to players that they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, he had 2 offenses technically. Well, with Buchnevich on the ground, giving him haymakers to someone that is not even active. Like, he was doing nothing. He was lying on the ground.
He was defenseless. It's a defenseless player at that point. Like, when you're continually hitting a defenseless player, especially when their helmet comes off, that's when you have to stop and think for a second. And then that he feels zero remorse because of what he did in the penalty box after.
Yeah.
Right? He did some stupid thing in the penalty box. Like, that this guy has zero remorse for what he did. Yeah. He doesn't care.
No.
He's a man. Like, that to the NHL, like, the fact that the NHL is only fining him, or that guy who's in charge of giving out fines and suspensions, the NHL can't trust that guy. Now, the Rangers are completely right with their statement, right? So that's a huge. The Rangers are the richest franchise in the NHL. Them and then the Leafs. So you've got the team that brings in the most money for the NHL with their star player getting assaulted on the ice, and they give him a $5,000 fine.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, to also put it into perspective, someone who I despise over Cuthbert and Simpson is the Boston Bruins announcer, and he made it apparent and clear that Tom Wilson should be suspended. And I don't think that, like, in the first his well, it was probably his second suspension this season, and or I'm not sure, but all I know is that he was suspended this season, and I'm pretty sure it was a hit on Pasternak, or it was a dirty play in the corner. I don't really remember it. I was watching the game, but and that's when that biased announcer comes into play, and he went, wow, that's unbelievable. Why would he do something like that? And he was going in, and then that caught tossed around social media. So if Wilson wasn't suspended, then that would have created something huge, and we're looking at something huge why he should be suspended right now, and this should be headlines right now because that man should be suspended right now.
Yeah, and just to add fuel to the fire, the Rangers and Capitals are playing at the time we're recording this tomorrow night. So if you're George Peros or whatever the fuck that guy's name is, you have to think that if Tom Wilson isn't suspended for at least one game, not even one game, like let's say he was just suspended one game, it would be less of a dumpster fire right now. But next game, the Rangers are going to try and kill Tom Wilson. I don't think anyone understands. Wayne Simmons went after Alex Edler after just a knee-on-knee collision, apparently accidental. Tom Wilson did this on purpose. He meant to do this. He tried to kill. Like this is like not even an intent to injure. This is like trying to murder their star player.
That literally could have killed one of them.
Yeah, and easily. And you're saying not even
Buchnevich
a suspension
or Panarin.
Yeah,
but that's the thing too. The way you know that they really don't care about player safety is the fact that they didn't even suspend him for one game, because that means they don't even care about his own safety. Mm-hmm. Because for all they know, the Rangers bring up some guy that was raised in a barn that's on their AHL team next game just to kill Wilson, literally. Because if I was the Rangers, that's what I would do. If we know that we're playing and Wilson is in the game for some reason, which he should not be, but he is. If I'm the GM of the Rangers or the coach or the management or the organization, I'm thinking, okay, let's get our biggest, toughest guy in here just to run Wilson and try to injure him, like try to get him out of the game as soon as possible, right? So I mean that's a pretty old time thing to say, but that's, people are angry. Like if the Rangers are angry enough, I think they'll probably go the more passive route and say we're not playing if this guy's in the lineup. Right? Which would be, I think, maybe come out tomorrow and say that. They might do that if nothing changes by tonight. But I guarantee you right now, they're on a Zoom call somewhere, the Rangers organization, saying that, if the NHL doesn't change this, we're not going to finish out the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they have nothing to lose. They're out of the playoffs.
Yeah, they have nothing to lose. They're not making the playoffs. So that's just a complete hit to the NHL. Literally the most the team that brings in the most money for the NHL is upset with an original six team that plays out of Madison Square Garden in the biggest city in the world, the biggest revenues. That's terrible for the NHL, and I don't know who is involved in the decision other than this guy, the main guy. But whoever they didn't run it by, or if Bettman was involved in the decision, this guy should be fired, because not only for the reason that Wilson should obviously be suspended, but it ruined the NHL's reputation just by doing that one thing. Mm-hmm. Right? Just because the Rangers are mad, even if the Rangers weren't mad, then I don't know, that's just putting it, what did I say with a PR?
Yeah, right, Eric? The PR is a disaster right now.
The NHL PR and then Washington Capitals PR is a complete disaster. This guy's wearing an A on his sweater. He's an assistant captain. What are you doing as an organization if that guy's your assistant captain? That's a complete embarrassment to the Washington Capitals organization. Yeah. Right? Your assistant captain does something like that and then goes to the penalty box and continues to mock and have no remorse about the situation.
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't even just skate off and sit in the box like he's upset. He goes and he's happy he did it.
Yeah. Well, a big thing is I watched a little clip on it, and a news station or something like that was talking about how when you look at the New York Rangers roster, they don't have a Wayne Simmons, they don't have a Matt Martin,
No.
they don't have someone to defend Tom Wilson. So Felly's farm kid kind of like example would be a perfect example for New York, because honestly, like if Marner jumped on someone like that and someone did that to Marner, there hell would break loose. For some reason, it's not as big of a hell right now in, as Felly said, one of the biggest cities in the world, but I think there's just a more heartfelt Toronto fan base than there is in New York, and that's why we're not seeing as much pushback from the fans, because if the fans really, really wanted to get their voices heard and did, there would be a way bigger turnout. But for whatever reason, I don't know about you guys, but I'm not seeing a ton of people fighting back. Like say, like with the Hyman thing right there, people were fighting.
And I mean, listen, if something like that did happen to a guy like say Marner or Matthews or Tavares or Nylander, this happened to Panarin. This is one of the league's stars. Like, what if that happened to McDavid? The NHL would have immediately. I mean, you have to believe that they're going to suspend him for a long period of time if that's Connor McDavid. That is Artemi Panarin. That's one of the league's superstars, and they're giving this guy 5,000. Like Artemi Panarin brings in money for the NHL, and you're putting him in danger by letting this guy continue to play. So if you're a New York Rangers fan and your superstar player is getting, literally assaulted on the ice by this crazy guy, then I mean, if it were to happen to someone on the Leafs, so to speak, I guarantee you Leafs fans would start petitions or movements saying, get this guy out of the league. He's literally just a danger to anyone playing the game. Like, that should never be in the game of hockey, ever. Same with the Edler knee. That should not be a part of hockey. And that being said, that Edler knee is that's more forgivable. Because, it could have ended Hyman's career and it was a dangerous hit. But it is sometimes an accident. Sometimes. Didn't seem like it, but sometimes it can be. That was no accident. And it's evident. He knew it wasn't an accident because he bloated. What's the word? He gloated about it in the box.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say two things, and then we'll wrap things up here. But if I'm the Rangers, if I'm the front office, and I'm pissed about this, and the NHL isn't doing anything about it, put out Tony DeAngelo. Tell him to go fucking do whatever you want. You have one game to play and just fucking kill Tom Wilson. That's what I'm doing.
No, see, the thing about that is it's like a super old time thing to, like, in the 40s and 50s, teams would purposely sign guys to 10-day contracts just to fight Maurice Richard.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I saw it in that movie or whatever it is, but I don't know what team it was. It might've been the Bruins or something. Literally signed one boxer to a 10-day contract or something just to beat up Maurice Richard so that he wouldn't be able to play.
They should bring that back.
But that's a really old timey thing. That's something that wouldn't happen anymore. But this is your superstar player. I don't, it's like, and then he is also a huge part about the NHL's revenue. People have to be upset about, the NHL has to be more upset about this, trying to or has to release a statement or something.
Yeah.
On you got to fire this guy, or he made a mistake or something like that, because it just can't happen.
Yeah, I'll just chirp in here quickly, just before. Sorry, Eric.
Okay, go ahead.
But I just want to say this kind of ties back to the NHL's marketing and just their overall, why hockey could be a fifth, sixth sport in North America now. There's just now their player protection's down. They're horrible broadcasting. They don't have deals like obviously the NFL, but because that's one of the biggest, if not the biggest sport in North America. They don't have those broadcasting deals, but it just everything ties in kind of thing. It's a great sport. There's so much to bring in, and they're just hurting themselves by doing shit like this. You know what I mean? Just they're slowly digging the hole bigger for themselves, right? So I mean, in terms of marketing, man, they gotta find someone new, get a big team in here, because I don't know. This is just not looking good for the show.
Yeah, and I'll end on kind of this conclusion, but I honestly was a fan of Tom Wilson before this. You know, I love physical play in hockey. I always think that they should bring it back and be more physical, right? But and also the fact that he's actually one of the most valuable players in the NHL. You can say otherwise. I'm not going to argue that because I don't think he is, but he can score and he's big and tough. So, he's one of the most valuable players in the NHL in that respective, right? But this is just unacceptable. No one should ever be allowed to do that. On top of that, it's a star player like Panarin, like we've previously said. And obviously it's just, I lost all my respect for him. Like that's just a complete joke. And the fact that the league is not doing anything about it is also a joke. Did you have any final things to say?
Yeah, just to expand off that a little bit. Like the Washington Capitol, I don't think anyone can have respect for him, including the Washington Capitals, and they have a decision to make because that's terrible for their, it doesn't matter how good a player you are. If you're Wayne Gretzky and you do something like that, the team has to take a step back and look at it and go, this is a terrible image for our organization.
That's what the Rangers did with D'Angelo.
Right? So, like, no matter how good D'Angelo is, who at this point, that is just making a joke out of your organization. The Washington Capitals, if Tom Wilson did that as a Leaf, I would immediately be saying, "Oh, let's get this guy off the team."
Audrey barely did anything, and he almost got.
And Toronto fans wanted to drive him out of the city, right? So it's like, if that guy does something like that, and he's on the Leafs, I don't want him on the team. I don't think you guys would want him on the team because it's making a joke out of the organization, and like the front office sees that. Like I guarantee you, the Washington front office is having a really hard decision to make right now, saying let's leave him out for the rest of the season. Let's give him a team suspension, by saying he wasn't following the proper, this is how the Washington Capitals go about the way they play the game of hockey, and they sit him out for the rest of the season just to protect him, basically. I don't think, I think it's a whole PR thing, but, at the end of the day, if you're Washington Capitals and you're the owner, you got to be saying this guy's a liability to the image of the organization. We're going to lose fans. And they lost fans. They did. I guarantee they lost some fans because of that guy. So.
Yeah. Yeah. And that'll just about do it. So thank you guys for watching our YouTube channel. If you guys have an opinion about this topic, make sure to let us know in the comments. We read all the comments and we respond to them. So make sure you guys go do that. Like and subscribe as always. This has been the Buds in the Box. Bye for now.